Would that be fair to say it was your biggest night at Anfield so far this season?
Because it results to a final, yes, maybe. But I think we had some big nights here already with Leverkusen, with City, with Madrid, and probably I forget a few. But yeah, to reach a final should always be special, and that is also what it is. So yeah, in that perspective, it's been the most special evening.
To reach a final as well early in the season is something that you're not used to, are you, as a coach, as a manager?
No, in Holland we only have one cup competition, and that final is played in the end of the season. So yeah, that's a new experience, but it's a nice one to have. It's a special stadium for English people, but also for Dutch people, because we know the history of that stadium and the history of a final as well, of a League Cup final. So I'm very pleased to go there, but we also know that we are going to face a very, very tough opponent, because I saw them yesterday and I saw them this season. We already played them once. They're a very good team, but they're going to face a very good team as well.
You're also defending champions, though, going into that final against Newcastle. Talking to Virgil van Dijk, he was saying that could have done a little bit better in the first half. He talked about a little bit more intensity, but watching that performance tonight, it was just wave after wave of pressure.
Yeah, but I agree with him.
So picky.
But we also have to take into account that in the first half there were many injury moments. So it's difficult to get intensity in the game when there are so many injury moments. Players are on the floor needing treatment. But we controlled the game really well. I think it took them for 80 minutes before they had their first shot on target. And we were finding gaps in their last line more and more and more. So it was a very good performance from our side.
And how do you keep that work rate going? Because people talk about this competition and how it can set you up for the run-in that obviously you are at this moment in time involved in as well. But for all the other competitions that you're involved in?
Yeah, there are many games to be played, but we were lucky, or maybe not lucky, it was out of quality that we were already qualified after 6 games in the Champions League. So the 7th game we could already rotate a bit and give players rest at halftime. The 8th game we didn't play many of them. So we are still able to rotate. I said yesterday, this is a league where you play the most games, but you're only able to take 20 players and not 23. I want to add to that if you can take 23, you also take more academy players to the game. So if there was an opportunity today for 23 players, I would have taken 1 or 2 academy players and they probably would have come in as well. So that's an extra reason for me to say here in England, why don't we go to 23? Because then academy players get more chances as well. But maybe that's not the moment to talk about that now.
Although you did say in the build-up to this in your press conference yesterday that you think when you can't take the amount of players that you want to, that's the hardest decision that you have to make.
It is, because if you play so many games, you can't do it with 20 players. So you need more players, and we are in a fortunate situation that we have more than 20 players fit. But that's one side of the story. The other side is that if a club like us should always have 20, 21, 22 first-team players, and then behind it there are academy players. And if we are able to take more than 20 players to the game, then I think academy players get more chances as well for playing time, because a game like today would have been an ideal moment to give them some playing time. So it's something to think about, but it's not the first thing that comes to my mind at this moment.
Obviously not. Something to think about for the weekend, though? In another cup competition you've got coming up? Yeah,
away game on Sunday, and 3 days later, of course, it's a big game again. So, yeah, there's only one, I would say, downside to us reaching the final, and that is that we have to play Villa during the week. But yeah, being successful creates even more games, and that's why we've trained them to play many games. So let's not talk negative about it. It's a positive thing, because I think players like to play games. They get stronger, in my opinion, by playing games. And that's also what you see at the moment with us.
Try and enjoy it for at least a moment tonight.
I will, thank you.
Taking it all in his stride. Yes, they were due to play Villa in the Premier League the weekend of the Carabao Cup final, so that obviously has to get rescheduled. Champions League last 16 is the week leading up to the Carabao Cup final as well. Newcastle, if you just want to know the other dates as well, Newcastle come here at the end of February as well, so just to paint the picture of everything that's going on, plus the derby next week.
Yeah, this could be a really, really special season for Liverpool, and they've been in this situation where the 4 trophies are still available at this stage of the season. I think twice in the last 3 or 4 years under Jurgen Klopp, and they come away with 2 Carabao Cups and an FA Cup. They didn't win the big ones under Klopp, so they won. They lost the Champions League final. They lost to City later on in the last game of the season, and last season they just won the Carabao and missed out on the league. The most important thing is to win the big trophies, and the 2 biggest ones are the league and the Champions League. Now they're in a great position with a final. They'll probably go into that game as favourites, but this has the potential to be an amazing season. But when you talk about next week in the Merseyside derby, that is the biggest game of the season, not because it's Everton, because Liverpool have been talking about a game in hand. It feels like now for about 2 months. They are the gap with Arsenal and the game in hand. The game in hand is next week. If Everton win that, don't say that. If Liverpool win that, they're almost got one hand on the trophy. A 9-point lead with, what are we talking, maybe 13, 14 games to go, is a huge lead with the form that Liverpool are in right now. So the final to come, and if they could win next week, psychologically, I think it's a massive boost for Liverpool, but also psychologically what that would do to Arsenal. I don't think many people at Arsenal would believe they could pull that back, as it's a huge lead at this stage of the season.
But just going back to what you were saying then, if Everton win that...
Oh, don't say that. I can't think of anything else.
Although it is a very different game in hand than it was when it was the actual game in December, isn't it? I mean, a lot of things have changed.
Things have changed, but it's always difficult. It's always difficult going to Everton, and they are always a tough side. But it's the biggest game, like James says, because it's the game in hand. You want to make sure you capitalise on it, make it count. And you're talking about all the games they've got to play. This game's getting moved, that game's getting moved. That's the price of success. And that's what you want at a club like Liverpool. They're in a fantastic position. Everything is looking so good for them. Can they capitalise on it? Can they do something unprecedented and win 4 trophies? Personally, I think you're never going to get a better chance. I genuinely mean that. I think they're in such a strong position. I think with teams that they've made, obviously Man City aren't really in the equation this season. The level in the Champions League hasn't been as high. And Liverpool right now, Jamie said it, the best team in Europe, arguably the best team in the world right now. But things can change really quickly. It only takes 1 or 2 injuries to just maybe destabilise that. But right now, they will look at it and it's almost beyond his wildest dreams. When he come here, after following someone like Jurgen Klopp, he was just hoping it would go well. My personally, as a Liverpool fan, thinking, probably take top 4, maybe nick a cup. But for him to do what he's done this season is absolutely phenomenal. And I love the way he talks. He never gets too excited. He says it as it is. He talks a lot of common sense. You can tell he's a student of the game, but he's been magnificent.
Let's very quickly, the 3 of you, just look ahead to that final. As I say, Newcastle come here at the end of February. They drew 3-3 at St James's Park earlier this season. How do you see the final, which is still admittedly a month away?
Yeah, there's a lot of football still to be played before then. Form can change for both teams. I think Newcastle will have had the experience what they had when they lost to Manchester United. They've been there. They know how that felt. But I mean, Liverpool will be going into, at this moment in time, into the final of favourites. Of course it will, because they're the top of the Premier League, the way they're playing. But I mean, Eddie Howe and that Newcastle team, you saw what they did last night. It'll certainly be a final I'll be tuning into.
I can't wait. We've spoken a lot about Virgil, but there is one player that Virgil can have problems with, and that's Alexander Isak.
Particularly on what we saw last night.
Everyone has problems with Isak,
yeah.
But that will be an absolute blockbuster. Those two up against each other. Midfield of Newcastle are incredibly strong. I thought Eddie Howe was magnificent today. There's no way he'd have brought his Newcastle team and they'd have sat off Liverpool if it was the opposite, and they're in that position. So I think it's going to be a perfect final. It's going to be great. 2 of the best fan bases in English football. The noise is going to be phenomenal. It's a final we all can't wait to see.
I think Liverpool will win.
Do you think? I mean, look, there are going to be lots of other battles as well as that. But do you think that is the Isak Van Dijk battle is the key battle?
Yeah, but I think the big one would be in midfield. If I'm being totally honest, I think Newcastle's midfield's fantastic. And what you think, Liverpool's midfield play, they won't have it as easy as that. They're aggressive, they're big. Joe Linton will be back. He didn't play last night, but that 3 in midfield for Newcastle, I think, can go up against any midfield in the country. And you look at Liverpool's right now, as good as anyone. They probably the matchup. You probably got, as you said, the best centre forward, be the best centre back right now. But probably the 2 of the top midfields, I would think, in the country. And if Newcastle would have to get a grip of Liverpool in that midfield to give themselves a chance.
Right, we are done here.
Virgil, as a team, you were absolutely on it tonight, weren't you? I know you needed that comeback, but it was a comeback and then some.
Yeah, you need a complete performance. I still think at halftime we could get a level up in terms of the intensity and put them even more under pressure, and that's what I've said as well. But to win here like we did tonight is great for the team, for the club, and now we focus on the FA Cup. But obviously we're very pleased to go to Wembley again.
You say that and talk about intensity, but the intensity was there right from the very off. How much more could you or have wanted to get out of it?
Well, listen, I think you wanted to start obviously with loads of intensity, and I think the game got interrupted a couple of times in the first half, so it ruins a little bit of momentum that was there. But we still did it now and then. But I felt like we could do a little bit more and make it even more uncomfortable for them, because obviously we know that they have the quality to play out, or they want to play through the middle, and they have these patterns and stuff. And if you bring the intensity to the game, then anyone can make mistakes. And I think the second half we did that, and a beautiful win today.
In fairness, it's like as if you just squeezed the life out of them. You suffocated them.
Well, that's what we try to do each and every game. But listen, nights like this, where there's a lot of things at stake. You obviously going to a final again. We don't take that for granted. I wanted to go there. We all wanted to go there again with the fans, and it was a great team performance, and really enjoyed it.
Can I ask you about Mo's penalty? That was like picture perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah, outstanding. I think no goalkeeper would have saved that. Obviously very important, clinical, and important again.
And you yourself getting in on the act, just like you did in the final last year, winning the Carabao Cup, lifting the Carabao Cup, and getting on the score sheet to send you on your way there again tonight.
Yeah, listen, it's always a proud moment to be on the score sheet and be important for the group. And finally, obviously, it's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try be more clinical in front of goal with corners, set pieces, etc. And it's never always that easy, but today I finally could have scored a goal again.
Is it fair to say that this season couldn't be going any better? I mentioned to Cody Gakpo, as he was player of the match, that everything just seems to be falling into place, the targets you want to achieve as a group of players.
Well, we're in February now, and
it sets you up nicely, though, doesn't it?
Obviously, we can't complain about the situation we're in, and we won't. But the main thing is we should not take any of that for granted. We should keep working each and every day for it, and don't be easy on each other. And I don't see any of that happening because I will be on top of it with the managers as well. But it's about just staying calm, work our socks off, try to show our quality, defend with everything that we have as a team, and focus on ourselves. And I think that's the main thing. Just don't worry about others, and I think that's the only key to success this season, because you can only influence what we do and not what others do. So let's go for it, enjoy it, and we'll see.
The future in terms of yourselves, though, and yourself as well, it just looks so good this season, doesn't it?
Well, the only thing I'm focusing on is the game ahead of me, and I'm feeling good. I think everyone can see that. And what the future brings at the moment, I've got no idea. So anyone who says they know it, they are absolutely wrong. But we'll see what happens.
It brings a final, for sure.
Well, that's definitely on the schedule. So we'll focus on that when the time is there. Now we focus on the FA Cup on the weekend. That's a quick turnaround as well. But we have to be ready for that as well.
Good stuff. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Two Liverpool interviews we've had now, I would describe them both as steely determination, really.
Yeah. But what a player to have. Like, you talk about having good senior players and what clubs are searching for. Somebody said, if it goes wrong, I'll be on top of them, as with the manager. That's exactly what you need. You know, he's a phenomenal player, makes the game look so easy. I mean, it's very difficult to come up with any plaudits with a guy. He's that good. But you can see what it takes, and you know when you've got him there. And that's why it's so important that somehow Liverpool tie him down, because he's such an important player at the club.
But you know what I mean, Michael? It's like we thought they dominated the first half, and yet he's saying he's going into the changing room at half-time and saying, look, that isn't intense enough.
Standards, leadership, he's got everything. He's the best for me. The way he conducts himself, the way he does the interview there, the way he performs, and everyone just follows. He is the leader of that pack, and they just waving his arms, dictating on the pitch. And when he speaks, they listen. You can just tell. And he's phenomenal. Honestly, they are. Where would they be if they didn't have him? Since he's come in from Southampton, there has not been a better centre-half anywhere in the world, in my opinion.
We talk about what has changed under Arne Slot, where tweaks may have been. And one of the things that you were saying, particularly when we look at the first goal as well, is far post goals.
Yeah, whether it's just, an anomaly this season or something, the way the team play. But how often have you seen Mo Salah in that situation with the outside of his left foot find someone at the back post, more often than not Gakpo? And it might just be a quirk this season, I don't know, but it's happened an awful lot. But Jamie, you were really impressed with the role of Curtis Jones there, weren't you? That role, you think it takes the defender away?
I think it just floods the box. You just get extra people in there. He shows a bit of energy. Look, no one's really matching that run. Danso's got a problem as well, and the ball comes to him at the back post. And I just think he catches the eye. And it's a really good finish. It's not an easy one, but it's a confident player's finish. As it falls to him, you just know what's going to happen. It's going to go into the bottom corner. And that's the kind of form that Cody Gakpo's in right now. I have to be honest, when they first signed him, I wasn't sure. I thought, yeah, he looks an OK player. Where's he going to play? Is he going to be a number 9? Is he going to play off the sides? He had a couple of good moments. Obviously, when Liverpool beat Manchester United here, I think he scored a few goals and you thought, OK, that could be his moment. But since this manager's come in, Arne Slot, he's just taken his game to another level. He looks like so powerful right now, scoring goals, making goals. And he's just taken his game to another level. Liverpool
didn't sign anyone, really, for the first team in the summer. There was a lot of disgruntled Liverpool fans, not just in the summer, but in January as well. The fact that Liverpool hadn't signed anyone. But a big part that I feel like gets really undervalued is what a new coach can do to the group of players that he's got. And a big part, they're not managers now, they're coaches, especially Arne Slot is titled coach. And a big thing of what he's done is what he's done with Gravenberch and what he's done with Gakpo. Where Gakpo now, I think he's the best left-sided attacker in the Premier League. I don't think there's anyone performing better than him. Jurgen Klopp used to use him centrally, almost trying to make him the new Firmino, if you like. And I was a bit like with Jamie when he first came in. Gakpo didn't really see it. I thought it was almost the Premier League was a little bit too quick for him. But he knows him a lot better than probably any of us from his time in Holland. Played him in his preferred position on that left-hand side, and right now there's nobody performing better.
It takes some bravery, though, doesn't it, to hold your nerve as a football club and go, right, let's see what our coach, particularly we've got a new sporting director as well, right, let's see what our coach is going to do with this group of players. I think Chiesa is the only outfield player they've signed in 3 transfer windows.
Yeah, and he's brought in really just if Mo Salah misses a game, and touch wood, that doesn't happen too often. But there is criticism of Liverpool in terms of bringing players in. I'm not part of that criticism because I just think what they have done over the last 7 or 8 years under Jurgen Klopp and now with Slot, they hold the nerve, they very rarely make mistakes. And I think when you panic buy and you do things, on the off, or you're searching for players. You look at Tottenham now, and I understand, with injuries, and they just all of a sudden get the centre-back from, feels like nowhere. Liverpool don't do that, and they back themselves, and they're brave enough, and, to do that with a new manager and not bring anyone in. And that's not just them, that was the manager. He said, I haven't seen enough of this squad, I don't know the squad of players yet. There was tournaments in the summer, they're all coming back late for pre-season. I want to assess the squad that I've got, and it's been an absolute masterstroke.
We're at the opposite end to the Kop here, but you could see from our vantage point, you could see the penalty coming in slow motion not far off, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. Another ball by Salah in behind the defenders, and as soon as Kinsey's coming out, I'm like, oh no, here he comes. And Nunes does brilliant, just that little touch. He tries to pull out Kinski there, but he's too committed, and then as soon as he catches, it's the right decision, and an easy one for the referee.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He just gets there, he knows what he wants to do. I did feel for Mo, he looked quite nervous taking this penalty, didn't he, lads?
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of scuffed it a bit, didn't he?
Oh my goodness, he'd have stepped that over, still wouldn't have got that one. Just unbelievable.
It's amazing how he just changes from the weekend where he put his laces through it, and this one, wow, look at that one.
Beautiful.
That's for Mo Salah, 50 games for Liverpool in all competitions where he's got a goal and an assist in the same game. Phenomenal.
Does that put him ahead of everybody else?
Yeah, a long way. I think Steven Gerrard might be second in that on 27, so there's a big difference. But another feature under Arne Slot is this run from full-backs. This time it's Conor Bradley. You see that inside run, gets on the ball late, and Szoboszlai scores. And for me, I think Szoboszlai should get more goals and assists, but his running power is fantastic. But this has been a real feature of Arne's slot, whether it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Bradley here, Andy Robertson on the other side, and Tsimikas, the full-backs making underlaps, if you like, going inside, and the wide players holding the width. Fantastic. This time he gets the ball and gets his assist. He was outstanding tonight, Conor Bradley.
Which actually, I don't want to go back over the whole Trent Alexander-Arnold contract situation, but it actually makes what they do at full-back going forward quite on both flanks, actually. Let's be, there's lots of rumours they're looking for a left wing-back, full-back as well. So what they do this summer, going back to transfer market, will be quite interesting, bearing in mind what Slot wants his full-backs to do.
We've seen enough Conor Bradley. Anyone that understands football will realise he's a tremendous talent, and if he were to leave Trent, you've got a great right back for years to come. He's athletic, he's aggressive. There's been a couple of moments this year with Mbappe, and he made a tackle. I can't remember who it was on today. Was it Son? And
yeah, there was one down here.
Brilliant. He's fearless. You can see that he's got the world at his feet, and he's got that. When young players that come through at this club, they just have that bit of like spite about, a bit of aggression in the nicest possible way, and I love the way that he plays. And I think that goal as well, as much as it was good from Liverpool, I always remember going back to football, we play pattern of play, something like shadow play when there's nobody up against you. When you see this goal, if you took the Tottenham players off the pitch, there is not one person that even once this ball turns over now, and this is at 2-0, you're right in the game, look, no pressure on him. Where's Son? He's miles away. Now you look at the space he's going to play this ball into here. I mean, you've got a gap between the two centre-backs. It's just unbelievable. It's like you play shadow play without anyone marking you, Michael. Where is everybody here?
It's brilliant. The way McAllis here, I think he played first time, he takes an extra touch. Then this pass from Bradley first time, if he doesn't do it first time, he doesn't get the opportunity.
No, but it's good from Liverpool, Tottenham's point of view.
Oh, yeah, from Tottenham's point of view. But the run where Salah takes Gray away and then, take nothing away from Liverpool. That goal is perfect. It's as if you're playing PlayStation.
There's only one man connected with Liverpool who doesn't want Trent Alexander-Arnold to sign a contract, and it's Conor Bradley. But if Trent was to move on, you talk about big squads and 2 players for each squad, and you need to bring a defender in. I don't think Liverpool should go and buy, a big right back, if you like, for a lot of money. What that lad's done whenever he's come in and filled in for Trent, even at last season, has been that good, his performances. If that's his performance level, if that's his level, there's not many better right backs in the Premier League from what we've seen of Conor Bradley, and maybe he's probably close to maybe 40 or 50 appearances for Liverpool now. So that lad needs to be given his head. He's performed too well to someone else come in and sort of be the first choice right back. Maybe you'd bring in a utility player who could do a bit of right back and centre back. But Conor Bradley, if Trent moves on, needs to be Liverpool's right back.
And you know what I like about him? Jamie's exactly right. He can defend. And he enjoys defending, which a lot of right-backs don't now, but he also can get forward, and he has quality when he goes forward. Like with Trent is like his passing is up with with Beckham's and Kevin De Bruyne's. You'll never find anyone like that. It's totally unique. But you've got a young man here at your disposal, and they're clever enough. Jamie mentioned it. We've got Richard Hughes. People they understand a good player when they see one. They've not got to go out and spend crazy money on someone. If you can get someone that's just going to maybe fill in, and maybe can come to right back if you need it. But he is an absolute gem that they've got in their midst here.
We can look at the 4th goal as well on Van Dijk. I mean, if Van Dijk gets a leap on you or run on you, you can't do anything about it, can you?
He's a man mountain in the scene here. As soon as he just does that check, gets behind Ben Davies and Danzo, and he's just too big. I mean, Danzo's a big boy, but when I was looking out there, I mean, he just towers above him and that leap. Great delivery in. But he just has that detail. I love these little checks from Van Dijk. You see Danzo, you're thinking, oh, no. Then Canate blocks him, and as soon as he's in that position, I mean, Virgil van Dijk, he is... I said it 10 minutes ago, I think he's the best centre-back in the Premier League history. I really, really do. I think he's that good.
We're not starting that one again, are we?
You what?
That one again. That's to be honest with you.
You're not going to try and get but you've got to get a block on him, haven't you?
You have to try and stop him before he does a run, because as soon as he's got a check, then Canate blocks you. As soon as he's got a run on you, you're in big trouble. You have to try and get close to him. So, but even then, it's hard, because now you grapple and you hold, then he goes to VAR and you're in big trouble against him.
I think when I watch Van Dijk, and I have done now for 7 years or something, he's been at Liverpool. When you think of the Premier League, I think we'd all agree it's probably the best league in the world. And then you've got Champions League football. That's the highest level. I think that's higher than international football, World Cups and Euros. He's too good for the highest level of football, if you know what I mean. It's almost like still too easy for him. It almost feels like there should be another level above that for Van Dijk, because he plays the game with such ease that it's like the biggest games coming up. I watch him here against Haaland. And Haaland's the best goal scorer around, a big, powerful lad, got pace. And it's like, it doesn't even feel like he's trying.
He plays everything at his pace. He plays
just,
everything at his pace.
I'm trying to think what level of football is there where he's actually look where he's at. He'd have to like go to ground and make a block or really sprint. I mean, has he sprinted in the game today?
Well, he never does.
He doesn't.
He never, because he puts himself in a position, even when there's times
he
reads the game. And I think, are you going to lunge? And he never gets dirty. He looks immaculate at the end of it because he cruises through it. He looks where the ball's going to go. His position. He gets people in. He's always talking. Players in front of him. Then when he has it, he just stands on, as calm. It's a diagonal ball to Salah. He plays it to Robbo. I mean, he just oozes class. Everything about him.
You said before he's the best in the Premier League, and the thing about this, he is the best, but it's not even a debate. This nonsense about like all the other defenders who are great defenders, and I played with a lot of them. He's so far above it. It's a joke. The football is that easy for him watching it. I've never seen a player that at ease. Probably in any position, really, not just at centre-back. It's a walk in the park for him.
Is that scoreline pretty much a reflection of where the two teams find themselves at this moment in time? Liverpool obviously had full strength. You yourselves are finding it quite difficult and challenging with the squad that you have to work with at the moment.
Yeah, I guess so. But ultimately, though Liverpool fully deserved the victory tonight, they were a far better team. We just weren't able to get a grip in any part of the game, defensively or with the ball, and they were too good for us.
They were relentless, weren't they? And it was just wave after wave of constant pressure.
Yeah, we allowed them to get into the game. We just weren't as aggressive as we needed to be. I just think we didn't start the game off on the right footing, allowed them to get comfortable, and once they got comfortable, it was very difficult then for us to wrestle that control back.
Would you have liked to have seen more from your players? You talk about aggression. Was the courage missing as well? Perhaps maybe a little bit of bravery?
Yeah, we definitely needed to be braver with and without the ball. It's easier said than done at a place like this against a very good Liverpool team at the moment to in a good spell of form for very settled. But it's what we needed to do and we didn't do it.
I know it was a difficult challenge as it was to come here, but there was some decision makings as well, and I noticed you stayed in your technical area throughout. You were trying to remain positive, but there were some times when you were shaking your head the moment the penalty was conceded and when that was scored as well. Were those sort of more disappointing moments for you, the decision making?
No, look, I mean, obviously, we didn't have a great first half. We were very much in the game, and we kind of knew that sort of first 15-20 minutes we had to keep it really solid in terms of our decision making, and to give them a second goal was disappointing. But I still think, as I said, we never really got to grips for any part of the game today, and they were too good for us.
I know it can be tough on head coaches, managers like yourself as well. It must have been pretty lonely out there.
No, it's not an emotion I feel. Like I said, I'm disappointed we weren't able to sort of give a better account of ourselves today and give ourselves a chance to get to a final. What about the mood in the dressing room with the players? Are they pretty crushed as well? Yeah, very disappointed. We had a great opportunity and unfortunately we didn't grab it. OK, but you do go again and you can benefit, I imagine, from experiences like this as a group of players, as squads. You have got players coming back as well. You've got the signings, you've got that support from up above. How much do you owe it to yourselves as a team, as a group of players, to get something out of this season, this second part of the season? There's no choice, you have to. Still plenty to play for this year for us, and we've got a big game at Villa on Sunday, and that's where our focus goes. Thank you for your time, Ange. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Villa in the Cup on Sunday for Tottenham. That was the figure he cut this evening in the technical area. You look at the stats, Michael, and all of those Tottenham stats for a match are season lows.
Yeah. Bad reading. And he knows that. Ange, when he comes out, you see him there. He was very, very honest to say that Liverpool dominated from start to finish and needed more from his players. He looks lonely there on his own, and he's going through a challenging time. He's talked about injuries, but the players that are out there still have to be giving more than what they're giving at this moment in time. The senior players, something we've talked about for years and years in this Premier League, how good he's been. But when the going gets tough, which we've all been through it, you then have to look to your senior players and help them young players. Danzo was a positive tonight. I thought he came in for his first game, but believe me, that was a low night for Spurs.
Just look at your team. I've counted 8 internationals for Tottenham today.
Yeah.
8. I mean, that's not an inexperienced team. The goalkeeper's even capped, I'm not sure. Maybe that makes it 9. But there's a lot of players.
He's an under-21 international.
A lot of players, so you can't talk about not having experience. They know what it's like to come to Anfield and you have to suffer and make sure you compete and do the right things. But that was just shocking.
Do you wonder whether he knows whether to stick or twist at the moment with the football he wants them to play? There's been so much discussion on their style. The line isn't as high, is it? I mean, they aren't defending with as high a line. So is he trying to adapt? But by trying to adapt, they're not as brave. And then we're talking about them maybe having to be brave tonight. I mean, is he caught between a rock and a hard place? I don't know.
I think so. I watched them at Goodison a few weeks ago. They went to a back 5 that night. There's no doubt that the full-backs aren't as adventurous in terms of the positions that they take up. He hasn't come here with like a number 10 more often than not. He's played that from when he first came in. So he's a manager. He's trying to find something, and whatever he's trying at the moment is not working. But this is not just this run. You've got to remember this goes back to last season. I think Tottenham have lost 20 of the last 45 games. It's an awful lot. You know, we're not far off, and I think in the Premier League we're talking almost 50% of the games he's lost. Sort of going back, and I always think there was almost a line in the sand from a game on Monday Night Football when Tottenham played Chelsea at home, and they went down to 9 men, and he continued to play.
So last
even going from last
season, yeah.
This is not just a problem this season. Tottenham had such a brilliant start to his first season. I think top of the league after 10 games. I think the Chelsea game might have been the 10th or the 11th game. And he continued to go with his idea even with 9 men. And since then, the record is horrendous for Tottenham. So it's not just a case of the injuries right now. And I've got sympathy for them, what they've gone through right now, and playing 18-year-old kids at different times. And the same players that have to play 90 minutes every week. So I get that. And for me, I'd like to see him get players back fit and be given till the end of the season. And I think the Europa League as a competition, they might be able to go far in, shall we say. But I think we've got to be careful and just talking about what's happened the last sort of 2 or 3 months in terms of injuries. It's not that. This is going back to last season.
It was fun. It always felt fun watching Tottenham for a while. You know, they had a play and we got, wasn't that exciting? You know, they lost, but we had a real go today. It's like that saying, when the fun stops, stop. And it has, like, that's what it's got to. When I look at Tottenham, they're not fun. They're not enjoyable to watch.
But then we I don't think you were there. Were you there for the quarter final? It was us two for the quarter.
Yeah,
sorry,
we were there.
I do remember working with you. Right, but that quarter final, when they beat Manchester United 4-3. We had a great night that night. It was so entertaining, but we had a big discussion afterwards about whether you want to win 1-0 or 4-3.
Well, they beat.
But
they beat.
Really
but they
difficult
also
to know what people want.
You said this is where we're at the moment, Michael. But they beat Liverpool 1-0, and it's arguably they had a stronger side out tonight. I know Solanke played, but you still had with that back 4. You bring in Danso to there, a bit more experience. Like I just couldn't believe that level of performance tonight, because I was just expecting more. I knew it was going to be difficult. I had no illusion. I don't think anybody was really expected that they would win tonight, but I felt that they would have a go and they'd try to lay a glove on them and they'd make things difficult. But that was just never in the game. I'm
not just saying this to try and make a headline, but actually I think of a cup tie Liverpool played at home a few weeks ago in the FA Cup. I think Accrington Stanley was in the FA Cup. Now, Liverpool didn't play the best team, don't get me wrong, but they gave more than Tottenham taking caused Liverpool more of a problem in that game, and that's
you can see
right.
the fear in Spurs' dressing room there. Even Ange to go to Goodison and play a back 5 in all the time, and people have questioned, will he change? Well, he changed because of the results and the performances, and even his self-belief. He must feel going, I'm going to go to a back 5. Why would you go to a back 5 at Goodison? Not scoring goals, and you concede 3. They'd scored 15 goals in the Premier League and scored 3 in 45 minutes. So you're making decisions.
I've been critical of the manager, but then if we're saying that he doesn't adapt and then he does do something
like that.
What I'm saying is, are you saying that he should always stick with his idea, no matter what, home or away? Because we can't criticise him for saying, he doesn't adapt, and when he does adapt and do something different, have a go at him for that. We can't have it both ways.
I was a little bit questionable why he went to a back five. He's always played a back four. You talk about the three, which I was complimentary before. I thought he played a similar three in the first leg, and it worked without a number 10. Whereas tonight, I mean, they were just non-existent. Papa's tried to get around, but you have to take the ball if you come somewhere like this.
Is that the manager tonight? Is that the manager? Is he tactically? Is he? What I'm saying is, I'm looking at individual players, and I've never been a manager, so my first thought is always I look at players first. I never really want to. I try as much as I possibly can to look at players and think if I was a player there playing in a semi-final. You're playing against the best team in Europe. It's going to be a tough game. No one really expects you to go through. But it's the manner of the defeat. When I look at those three midfield players, they're all big, strong, powerful lads who can run. I'm not saying they're the best players in the world, but I'm thinking if I'm playing in a semi-final, I'm hitting Curtis Jones early on. I'm not saying that in an old-fashioned way. We saw it from Newcastle last night. I saw Trippier early on in that game, and I knew straight away Newcastle were ready. They were going to make this as tough as they possibly could for Arsenal. And I know they were at home, but Tottenham didn't make that tough for Liverpool. That was one of the easiest games Liverpool have had this season.
Because it's not Postecoglou's fault that Bissouma gives the ball away for the first.
Of course, but it's never the manager. That isn't the manager.
No, but that's your point, isn't it?
I also think that there has to be a message that we are. When you keep losing the ball continuously in your own half and the keeper's playing out, we have to go. And I think that has to come from the players as well. You go, OK, let's try and turn them. Let's try and do something different because it was just coming wave after wave. You kept losing the ball and you're asking for pressure. And that's where I think that you've got to go wrong. And I tell you, it's like that, say you've got to have a plan B. But that has to come from also the players have to take some responsibility. Like, look at your leader, your captain, Son. And he goes, like, he's been so good for Tottenham over his last few years. But I just don't see him as a captain. I just don't see that he really leads. I never see him, does he go, what's he going to bring you when you're really struggling? He doesn't like that type of player. And there's too many of them. And Jamie says it when you talk about Tottenham, that culture. I mean, that if I was a player, I'd hate to have that levelled at me. But that feels like it's always the stick that everyone beats Tottenham with. It's always about the culture, or it's Spurs. It's what you know. What
but
do you
I think that's probably come down to recent weeks. Certainly going to Everton. Then I watched them at Leicester. They're 1-0 up, give a goal away, turning the ball over in their own half, and then within 10 minutes they're 2-1 down and they lose a game to a team that had lost 7 on the bounce in the Premier League. You're talking about Rooney, and it's just. It's a knock-on effect for them, and I see them out there as players. They look shot to pieces. When a team gets on top of them and they're overrun, they can't change the wave. And that was what happened tonight. They couldn't change the wave that Liverpool were on, far superior, and they can't compete at this level. When you come up against a team like Liverpool, you have to find something. You have to have a fight and a determination. I didn't see that tonight.
I know you mentioned Accrington Stanley. Do you take into account that it was a free hit for Accrington Stanley, whereas Tottenham came here with more pressure on them because they had a 1-0 lead?
Listen, yeah, I get that and understand that it was Liverpool's best team and Liverpool are going to give it more. I get that, but it's just... I think even when sort of promoted teams come to Anfield, you know, they probably wouldn't play with that fear. They come with a 1-goal lead as well. You know, there was a... I don't know. I just think of, you know, teams who've sort of come to Anfield and try and make it difficult. That was so easy, but it just goes back to that stereotype that we all have with Tottenham. And to be honest, over the years, sometimes when I'm analysing Tottenham on, you know, on Sky, and I love the Pochettino team, and I'd steal about it, but that probably the best Tottenham team you probably had since the early 80s when they were winning FA Cups and UEFA Cup. And that team still couldn't get over the line. You know, there's definitely a mental block with the club. It's not just this set of players and the manager. It goes back a long time. But even when I was a kid watching football, there was this stereotype, as I said, about Tottenham. And right now, that is a typical Tottenham team. People say, the fans have got Spurs back, or we've got our club back. Yeah, they've got the club back that we feel like we've watched for 40 years. That's what they feel like they've got back, where they're basically nice on the eye when things are going well. You never expect them to win anything, don't win a big game, and when they get beat badly.
That must infuriate you. It must have infuriated you when you played, if that was levelled, because you're not responsible for what's happened in the past.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And when I speak
so this group of players aren't responsible for what's happened in the past.
And it will hurt them. I go back to Poch's time when I left. That was a group of players where you go, they should have won something. I believe that. And so when you're always spoke about, I was in the squad that we won in 2008, and it blows my mind that I haven't won anything since. And so when you hear this, and even as an ex-player, you're thinking, wow, that's damaging, that's hurts you. Of course it does, because a club like this, but then you've got to realise where the club is at and what you're competing against. That is the truth. They've come to Anfield tonight, and I was one of those people who said to you when I walked in, what's it going to be like? Worried, fearful, because Liverpool, they do it, they're winners. They know how to do it. They've done it for year after year, and that's why it's been so hard for Spurs in recent years to get over the line and win something.
And in case you're wondering, Liverpool are the winners, and they have won this evening, and we haven't really touched on them yet because they are in another fight.
I did an interview with you. I said you lost, and you said, "Don't worry, step by step, we'll do it all again."
I didn't say probably don't worry.
You said step by step, you go again.
Yeah.
You're gonna go and see what you did wrong and try and put it right in the second leg.
Yeah.
Was that the work of that today?
Yeah. Listen, I think Spurs is a great team. They have good players. They have a good manager. They can make it difficult for you every second of the game, in my opinion. They didn't cause us much problems today because we were on it and kept pressing, and obviously the first goal helped massively. And I think we were just the better team today in terms of with the ball and defensively as well, and obviously well deserved going to Wembley.
When you say the better team, it felt like, for my opinion, I've been here when you've slapped us a few times and had some fun. It felt like for the first minute you were comfortable, you were confident, and you were dominant. Is that how it felt to you in the game? You felt that we will score and we'll score more than one?
I think nights like this, but anyway, in general, I think you play to go to Wembley, you play to go to the final, so you have to especially show the first 10 minutes what you're all about. And I think we tried to do that. Obviously, there were a couple incidents where the game was stopped, so obviously we couldn't keep the momentum going. But I think still we did it well. Obviously, we know they are comfortable on the ball, and we know they try to play off from the back, and we have to try and go 1v1 at times and take that risk in order to win the ball up high. And I think we did that well and won the ball quite frequently up high. Couldn't score quite early, but obviously we scored the well-deserved 1-0, and then it's an open game.
Did you happen to watch the game yesterday with Newcastle
yes,
and
I did,
Arsenal?
actually. I don't watch much football, but yesterday I watched it, yeah.
What do you take from that Newcastle performance, and how can you look so far ahead to the final, but for the final going ahead, how do you think you're going to have to approach that game differently? Because Newcastle did set up defensively very well yesterday.
Yeah, Newcastle was outstanding yesterday. I think they played very well against us as well when we played there. And they are very, very strong in the midfield with obviously the power in terms of physicality, and they managed a great manager, and obviously for them to be twice now in the final the last 3 years is obviously a big credit to how they set up and what the work they do. And obviously they have a striker that's in red hot form at the moment. So when the time is there, we have to be ready. But I love, first and foremost, going to Wembley, and we have to be ready for a big game against Newcastle. That we'll also look forward to it. But I'm very impressed with Newcastle yesterday, especially.
Two very cheeky ones for me. One, us people in the fantasy football have you as captain. Why are you scoring now and not at the weekends?
Well, I always try. The thing is, it's multiple factors. It's not only me. As you know, it's not only me making a run. It's multiple factors. Sometimes you get double marked. Sometimes the delivery couldn't be right. Sometimes my timing could be off. It all has to click. And today, obviously, the goal was a great finish, and obviously the ball is great as well. So keep practicing like we always do, and let's see if we can score more.
And finally, quadruple is on the card to be spoken about. I'm sorry, I have been told to ask the questions.
By who?
My bosses. You're holding the CBS role.
I didn't know you were listening to your bosses now.
But with the quadruple on the horizon, how do you manage the expectations? How do you manage everyone being level every single day?
No, the expectation that we have to manage is to try and win every game ahead of us.
Yeah.
And not quadruple or thinking about what could be there in May time. Every game that we play is going to be difficult from now up until the end of the season. If that hopefully going to be in every competition, that will be fantastic. That's what we work for. But let's see. I think we just have to enjoy the whole ride all together. Not only us as players, as a group, but with the fans as well. Look at ourselves. Don't look at others. Don't worry about others. Just worry about ourselves and look. That's the only thing where we have influence on. So I can only say that. I say that to the team and to the boys as well, and we just have to keep going.
I'd like to shake your hand. Will you do that, or will you do what you did to Richarlison?
Yeah, but I always shake him. Don't worry.
Pleasure, bro.
Cheers,
Appreciate
man.
you as
Thank
always.
you very much, man. Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
Richarlison went off injured. Here's the moment that Troy was talking about. Grell, this ever happened to you?
No, not quite, but woo.
Oh.
But look at that. He doesn't let him out there, right? He can't spin there, and then he goes, I'll pick you up. No, I won't. I got to get back to my spot.
People don't understand. In the games of the games, when we say the games within the games, that there is a statement, I'm going to dominate you. That's the centre-back saying, you're coming up against me, I'm going to dominate you, and I'm going to make you.
Would you have done that to a player? Yeah.
I've done it loads of times with different players for different things. Like I've hit players who tried to give it to me to let them know, I'm ready to compete. Let's go. And that's what I love about Van Dijk. People don't see a lot of what he does in the game. And we say about all the best teams who win things have someone who has that dark arts. And this is Van Dijk that people don't see. I wouldn't say that was intentional or not, but I would say he knew exactly what he was doing. There you go.
You don't think that was intentional?
I'm not saying it was intentional or not, but I would say he knew exactly what he was doing. So for me, these are what we see. And Van Dijk, rightly so, captain, good role model for any young players coming through. But that is...
Good role model as he...
Yeah, he
elbow
is.
chops
100%.
Charleston in the throat.
Yeah, but Grella, you're a striker. Would you have just hated to play against defenders like Van Dijk?
Yeah, the best defenders, I think, have something extra to their game. Like Nigel, best midfielders, like they step on your foot, they'll kick you, they'll leave one late on you. There's the game within the game, Obviously, I didn't see that angle of that one, but that could have probably been reviewed.
Right?
And maybe it would have changed the game, or at least made it more interesting. But yeah, I think all the little games.
Those are the games, because there's some players that where if Van Dijk does that to, I guarantee you they will not go next to Van Dijk for the rest of the game. They'll go somewhere else or hide somewhere else. So it's a way of, let's see how strong you are. I could play football, I can be physical with you, we can have it everywhere you want it. And the best teams have a few players like that who will get you all the way through over the line to win titles and win competitions.
Meanwhile, on the attacking side, it looks like nothing can faze Mo Salah right now. Obviously, we talked about the numbers that he's putting up being absolutely fantastic this season. I mean, I suppose Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, with performances like these, they're proving their worth, aren't they? Is this just increasing the pressure to the Liverpool board to get these contracts done?
I don't feel there's any real pressure on the Liverpool board to get it done. I think they've shown us already by how they've handled this situation. Mo Salah's not been a very vocal player most of his entire career, and now he's become very vocal. I think Mo Salah wants to stay a lot more, which I think puts advantage in Liverpool Football Club's favour. So for me, I always feel, and I'll still stick to it, it's harder to replace a player like Van Dijk than Mo Salah. And I understand people say, oh, you're crazy scoring. No problem. He's having a great run right now. There's no guarantee we'll have the same run next year or the year after. When you talk about Van Dijk, it's hard to coach those type of players to see danger and make it look so effortless.
Look, I think with Salah, he's obviously got a lot of quality, and when you play this way, you have to put away your chances. And this is what he's done in 23 matches, 15 goals, 5 assists.
Against Tottenham.
Against Tottenham. Yeah, I know, these numbers are crazy. These are like season-long numbers, but this is just against Tottenham. I think Liverpool also put him in situations to succeed, to Nigel's point, that he's going to be a difficult player to replace. I mean, there's not many players of him walking around on the market, and if they were, they would cost over 100 million, maybe more. So I think Liverpool, what they do is they counter-press better than any other team in the Premier League, better than any other team in Europe at the moment. And so if you watch where he picks up the ball and where he gets a lot of opportunities, it's in the opponent's box or on the run already. So they've done a lot of the basically difficult, hard work for him already. And then he just has to add his quality in and around the box. And he's got the most quality in Europe at the moment.
I suppose from a neutral perspective, Nigel, this is going to be a great final, isn't it? Because you've got Newcastle, who have got Alexander Isak, who's in fantastic form. Then you've got Mo Salah, that's having maybe the season of his career, as we know, up till this point. Who do you like better in that? Because we have this debate all the time. Who's the best striker right now in world football? Is it close between these two?
It depends tactically how you want to set up. I think for me, Isak is a traditional striker. He is a more natural striker. Mo Salah is the evolution of the game of football that we see in the likes of Thierry Henry, playing out wide, not the focal point, not the main man as a Chris Wood is for Nottingham Forest. So for me, how I like to play, I would say Isak will probably be the one that I pick from how I like to play football, my tactical thing, but not taking anything away from Mo Salah. He's a special talent, but he's not a traditional striker. He's probably a goal-scoring winger or wide player, so you've got to give him credit for what he's doing from his position.
OK. All right, stay with us after the break. We're going to take you out. First time under Ange Postecoglou, they failed to register a single shot on target tonight in the game, which is obviously not great. Liverpool on the other side, I mean, Arne Slot's got to be thrilled with what he saw. Grella, we know that they've got a game against Plymouth Argyle at the weekend. We saw a really strong lineup, and especially the way they came out in that second half. They were just in cruise control in a lot of ways.
They were. I mean, we watched the first half, and they were okay, right? They did all the things they know how to do, and, you know, Nigel mentions that Gakpo works hard on both sides of the ball. But I think it's also because it's very clear what they need to do. Everyone has a very clear responsibility and role within the team, right? So it's you work within that role the best you can, and I think that's super helpful to them. Then in the second half, once they get going, they start getting numbers forward, they start running. They become very difficult to cope with. There's a play in the second half with Van Dijk when I think it's, who is it on the left side? So Robertson gets caught out on a play, and they spring what looks like, and not Van Dijk, instead of biting like most center backs would have done, going out wide. Now, when he goes out wide, everyone's got to go out wide, right, and make this crazy shift. Van Dijk jogs back with his long strides, slow, stays in, delays, lets Robertson, who looked like his butt was on fire, flying 40 yards back to come back and reconnect to the line. And Tottenham go, okay, there's not really an advantage here, and they go back around. That little play alone shows you how you play when you commit numbers forward, because Robinson was coming from an overlapping run. When you commit numbers forward, how you balance it at the back. And when you have the players of that quality of Robertson and Van Dijk, it becomes easier.
Man,
but they just do everything at times.
Everyone in the back, can we show that play?
Yeah, exactly. When his butt's on fire, like him on set right now.
Anyone got any plays? And Grella just play by play describes all for us.
I was told we're going to see a play from him, which I'm very excited to see.
It's called Grella Vision. Nigel just here having team.
No, it's not true.
Grella Vision. It's got to actually be inside Grella's brain to be able to
I would say, though, Grella, you've got to give credit to Arne Slot, what he's done, because even when he does rotate and change his side, which he does, sometimes it'll be Diaz, sometimes it'll be Jota, every player plays to such a high standard. And that can only come from the manager. It's not just you come in, you're not playing today, and then the standard drops. Everyone plays to a high standard, and I would say Van Dijk plays a big part of that. When we talk about leaders and captains and big personalities, Van Dijk is everything that makes this Liverpool side tick. Even though Salah's getting all the plaudits, Van Dijk is the pillar of what Liverpool Football Club are doing right now.
Yeah. OK.